Angel, thank you so much for being here. And today is that special Wednesday. You know that every Wednesday we go live on the Mujer de Éxito Unbounded show, but today is that special Wednesday. Once a month, you guys all know that I always bring in a beautiful guest. Well, I just want to share that I have been really focusing on trying to bring in the Latina authors onto the podcast so that they can share a little bit about the stories that they have written as well. Because we all know that in order to be able to support our Latina authors, they need as much marketing as possible. So if you're listening to me on the Coach MartiAngel YouTube channel, remember to subscribe and hit that bell. And if you like what you hear, make sure to share out this episode so we can empower more mujerpreneurs. Whether you're a seasoned mujerpreneur, a young mujerpreneur, a wannabe mujerpreneur, we are here for you. And this is the podcast where we get raw and real. So today I'm really excited because I have a fellow Latina author, and I met her most recently at one of our author events, and she's an amazing young lady. At this point in my life, guys, I'm going to, a side note here, at this point in my life, everybody is younger than me, but that's okay. So I just want to say thank you so much to my beautiful Latina author, compatriot, colleague, fellow author. Her name is 𝗧𝗛𝗨𝗥, and she is going to tell us about her book. Plus, she's going to tell us about her story. So everybody, please welcome my fellow Latina author, 𝗧𝗛𝗨𝗥. Hermosa chula, ¿cómo estás?
Hello. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Marti, for that beautiful introduction. I am so very excited to be here with you today. I was looking forward to this interview, so thank you very much for introducing me. And well, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about me. So my name is Crystal Adriana Alvarez. I am Mexican. I was born in the border of El Paso and Ciudad Juárez, Chihuahua in Mexico. So I've been living here in San Diego for about 15 years now. And I wanted to write a book because I felt like that was a way for me to express my creativity. In reality, I do have a normal job. I'm an engineer. So that's my job from 9 to 5 p.m. And writing the book was like a way for me to put down all those thoughts in my mind that I was having constantly, and like a side hobby, I never expected it to be this great success that it's been, and this beautiful journey of writing a book. So I am so excited to bring it to the world, And my book's name is Mil Mujeres in Me, which it talks about stories of women, of resilience, perseverance, and just experiences that most women we do have in common. So I am so excited.
So today's episode, everybody, and today's episode is actually entitled From Manuscript to Movement. So, and this episode is a beginning of the series of Latina authors. And so once a month from now until July, I will be having an author a month. So it is an opportunity for these authors to talk about their books. So it's how these Latina authors turn their stories into a legacy. And as you heard a little bit about, Crystal's little bit of background, but it's so important that we actually realize that a lot of people may look, that they may look at her and they may look at me and then they think, oh, very, very successful. Oh, they have everything. But hidden behind this face, this beautiful face of Crystal, is a story, and it's a physical story. So I would love to ask, what part of your story, madre? Because I see that tienes una discapacidad, ¿verdad?
Yes.
But yo quiero que tú lo expliques. I want you to share, right? But what part of your story were you most afraid to write? And would that be one of the things?
Yeah. So in reality, in the book, I don't really talk about me that much. I was talking about the women that came before me, so all those stories. But you're right. I would love to talk a little bit more about me in that sense because that ties a lot of things together about me. And in reality, I was born with this hearing loss. It's called sensorineural hearing loss when you are born um, like listening to less things that normal people does. I mean, thankfully, my issue is that I just need a little bit more volume because I think vowels are the ones that are difficult for me to hear. So therefore, when people is talking to me, if you're too far away, vowels kind of like translate the sound, or like yeah. So since I can't hear that, it's difficult for me. And I found that out when I was in university. I mean, I've always had it, but I didn't know because my dad also had it in the family. So it was an issue that forced the whole family to speak up a little bit. So we are a pretty loud family. So that's something that I didn't notice until I go out into the world and I start working in college, having like some office jobs, and then noticing people talking a little bit softer. And it was some of my bosses, that one boss I had that told me, Crystal, I think you might have a problem because I talk to everybody and you can't hear me. And I was like, that's when I started like, well, I can't believe it. I mean, how come? And that's how I ended up going to different doctors, and they could they could not think I had a problem. They didn't believe I had a problem because if you meet me face to face, I can do just fine in one-to-one conversations. I have issues when it becomes like a group of people that are talking, so then I will not know who's talking. And that's how I had to go to some other doctors until I found out that you have to go to a specialist, audiologist specialist. And that's the person that actually like diagnosed me with a hearing loss issue.
Mm.
So that was back in 2000, I would say 2008, 2010. And back then in Mexico, it was like they told me the only thing I could do was to wear hearing aids. Like there is no way to fix it, or there is no surgery. And when you live in Mexico, you hear these quantities of money. And they were talking about 60K pesos back then, which I thought was a lot of money. Yeah, it was like an open, like, what I'm gonna do, what I'm gonna get that much money from.
Right. Wow. So, so in college, huh? And it never came out in school or anything else. It came out in when you were in college. That's amazing. Okay, so I have a cultural question for you. And moving on, as a Latina author,
Hmm.
how has your, and now you have a beautiful array of culture, so how has your cultural identity shaped your voice, right?
Hmm.
Shaped como tu identidad cultural, cómo es esa, cómo ha cómo la cultura tuya, cómo se ha reflejado en tu voz, de la forma que escribes, in your themes, and in your, writings. How has your cultural identity shown itself there?
Yeah, thank you for that question. That's actually very interesting, and I'm glad you asked because um, So when I moved here to San Diego, I've been trying so hard to fit in. You always try to do things that are more Americanized, so celebrate, the holidays here and all of these things. But in reality, I think there is always that part of us that always has this deep culture rooted into us. So I still like have a lot of Mexican traditions in me. I still love to cook, like, beans at home. I have this barro pot, un pot de barro, and things like that. But an interesting thing was that when I was editing my book, I didn't know that because I wrote the book here. I started writing my book 2 years ago. So I always thought, um, it's gonna be like my life right now, even though I was talking about women of my past. But
Mhm.
when I edited the book, it was very interesting for me to find out that you read the book like a woman that is in the border town of Mexico and the US, because everything in the book is referencing me in the time of my life when I was living in Mexico. So I'm talking about, living in the border and how we always like do this Spanglish thing. And then all of a sudden it's my grandmother's living in Durango on other parts of Mexico. And then I'm like, wow, it almost seems like it wasn't me writing it. It was like me from Mexico writing it. It was a very interesting thing to find out.
That's amazing. That sounds fun. But and you have such a beautiful smile and things, and you're so learned. And that's the word that we use, right? You're so learned. Let me just share a little bit so that everybody can understand. You didn't just go to college, you are an engineer, and you work in Vista. It looks like you said right here you work in Vista in design and in manufacturing,
Yeah.
and you actually have a master's degree in administration of administración de empresas, which basically means here business management, right? And you have a lot of learning ability, and that that you came with. So my question now to you is, what was the biggest mindset shift that you had to make in order to be able to write your book?
Hmm. Yeah, I feel like I've always been a lifelong learner, lifelong student. I remember when I graduated from college, I always wanted to do my master's degree. So I think it was like having that dream of like, I'm going to do that, right? So when I came to the US, I found out that it's a little bit more difficult because, now I have to work full time and I have to learn English. I could not just go to university when I just came here because I didn't know the language very well. So it took me many years of like studying at night. I would work from 9 to 5 and go out, have something to eat, and then go to school from like 6 to 9 p.m. I did that for many years. That's something I don't really tell everybody because I've kind of like forgotten myself, but in reality, I did that for at least 3 years when I was studying English at 9 ESLA classes. So my English proficiency was better. And just like that, I went back to university. I did my master's, and I feel like I accomplished that dream. I say, okay, I wanted to go to the master's program. It took me 10 years to finally be able to like speak the language and feel prepared to do that. And I feel like that was the same thing I did with the book. One day I was like, there's this opportunity to collaborate with other women to write our first book. And I feel like it was more like, I can do it, I think I could do it. I mean, back in Mexico, I feel like I had another mindset that was things are more difficult. It is hard. There's not enough money. But when I came here, all of a sudden, I feel like there's like tons of possibilities that open up for me because I was like, I'm living in the US now. This is the land of opportunity, the land of the dreams. Like you can do anything you want to do here. So I feel like that was that, like embracing the way that, yes, I can do hard things, I could write a book. So that's what motivated me most, and kind of believing that I could do it and realizing that I have done a lot of other things too. So it's like, yeah, you can do whatever you want to do.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And you are so clear in doing that. But that takes perseverance,
Mm-hmm.
that takes drive,
Mm-hmm.
that takes determination. And it's amazing that you were able to do all of that. Working 9 to 5. Let me ask you a question then. How old were you when you came over to the US?
Yeah, I think I was 23 exactly. So yeah, that reminds me of this TikTok video when people thinks you by certain age you have to do this and you have to do that, and in my case it's been like all over the place. Like I came here at 23. It took me years before I could speak English very well to this level, and then I graduated from my master's program at 35 and got my first book at 36 and got married at 37. So I feel like that's very interesting.
Yeah, it is. It is. So how long ago did you get married?
I actually did it like just a few months ago, back there in October.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you very much. It's been I don't know, it was an amazing year for me last year when I had just graduated from my MBA in 2024 in December, and then I got full on into this book all spring of 2025, and then by fall I was like already planning and having the wedding, so it was amazing.
That's amazing. So, let me just go back though. Let me go back one more step, because I really want you to hone in. I want you to think about this, because this is going to help a lot of other people that maybe they want to write a book, or maybe they want to get a master's degree, or maybe they just want to be on a podcast, whatever it is. But think about this. What was the biggest, because obviously you had to do a lot, the biggest mind shift that you had to make in order to get all of that done?
Mhm.
¿Verdad? ¿Cómo cambiaste tu pensamiento? ¿Qué fue lo más grande que cambiaste en tu pensamiento, en tu modo de pensar, para poder salir adelante con todas las cosas que me acabas de decir?
Mhm. Yeah, I think for yeah, that's an interesting question. I feel like there was this time during 2020 when I had just lost my father. I lost him in 2017,
Mm,
and those years were a little bit hard because I had to like, maybe there's something back in my past that I need to fix and all of those things. And I started doing therapy about in 2018, and by 2020, with all this COVID thing going on, I started doing this transformational retreats, and
mhm.
that's one of the things that I think helped me the most, because
Ah,
now it was doing emotional intelligence changes, like I had to go and work with my limiting beliefs. So mis
ujú.
creencias limitantes pienso que
Sí.
fue lo más importante, porque I had this, oh, I can, or you are Latina, or you are a woman, or you are too old, all those things. And I feel like when I started doing these transformational retreats, they definitely changed the way I started thinking, and to say, you know what, that is not true. I can do this. I am a woman, working in a male environment.
Yeah.
I've been doing it
Mhm.
for 10 years already in that time, right? So of course I could pursue a position of power. Of course, I could become one day a manager, things that never occurred to me before. So I think, like, yes, changing my limiting beliefs, that's
Mhm.
helped me a lot.
Yes. Okay. That's great. Yes. Yes. Limiting beliefs are there. And that's something, somebody asked me the other day is as a coach, I work with that, right? And I work with limiting beliefs around money, around your success, around a lot of things. But yes, and sometimes we don't realize we have those limiting beliefs. So you really have to focus on working at it diligently daily, right? Very daily. So that's important. Okay. So now I have the next question. For all of us mujerpreneurs who are listening, who have who haven't read your book, tell us a little bit about what we can expect inside your book, but don't give it away completely so that we can just enough to make us want to go buy it. Tell us a little bit about your book and what it's about.
Yeah, so I have it right here. It's my
Okay.
book, Mil Mujeres and Me, which I'm so excited to present to you all. And so in my book, I start talking about stories in my family lineage, from my mother's side, when I noticed that there is many stories that tend to repeat themselves. So it's like these patterns. And then you hear this story about my grandmother, and then it turns out like I feel like my sister is repeating that story.
Ah,
Or like a cousin is going through the same issues, or why we keep all of my family members, the women,
yeah.
having issues with the partners. Why there's always this pattern repeating every generation. And even deaths, we have a lot of people in our family that dies very young. There's always one in every generation, and there is this thing that causes. So that was very interesting for me to find out, and that's why I wanted to like tell some small stories. It's actually only 35 stories of women that talk about different experiences that I think there are actually universal experiences for women. So I think women around the world will be very interesting to identify themselves in those women. So that's what a big thing about my book is. Yeah.
Wow. And it's in Spanish, yes?
Yeah, right now my book was written in Spanish, but I'm happy to announce that I'm working already with a translator. So my book is going to be ready by the end of this month. And then I just need to work in a new cover and changing the name to English and all of those things. So I think by April we'll be able to have the English version.
That's amazing. That is totally amazing. And that is so important. So you two things. You're in a well, any profession that we as women are in basically are almost male dominated, right? Even in education, when I was in education, all the superintendents, everybody above being inside the classroom, the majority of those people were, tall white men, right? And so it was a man's world, even in the educations. The only where the women actually where a lot of the women you found were in the teaching in the classroom, but everybody else, the administrators and all of that stuff, a lot of those are, male dominated roles have been. So, what I want to ask you is twofold. You are working in a male dominated role, but is that's even more of a male dominated role being an engineer. What kind of an engineer are you again?
Yeah, manufacturing engineer.
Yeah. So, and then that even so, I was just pulling up the stats. Manufacturing engineer, you're one of maybe 3% of women engineers in that sector. And I was like, whoo, that is a big story, right? So let me ask you this. And then writing as an author, right, is also another big story. So if somebody came to you and said, "Ay, Cristal, I don't know if I can do what you do," what would be the words that you would tell her?
Mhm. So if somebody came to me, wanted to pursue like an engineer career
Or being an author?
or being an author, yeah, I would say yes, just both. You can do both. I feel like there is a need for more women in engineering. I mean, let's be honest, it's one of the best careers, best paid careers. I mean, and there's not a lot of women here. I think there should be more women. I mean, I've been waiting for years in this company. I've been the only woman for more than 12, 14 years that I've been working here. So, and there's definitely, I have to thank my HR manager. They always told me, because she's a woman too, and she advocated for me to get this job. In the beginning, they did not wanted women in the department, you know, and
Whoa.
I turned out to be a very good um, worker here, so they love me now. But I've been looking, you know, I've been hoping that there is more women. I'm always kind of advocating for women too, because I think it's important. We women have a lot of attention to detail, which is very important when it comes to engineering projects and procedures and things. So, yes, definitely, I would say that we need more women and it's important. But also, as an author, I would say that it's also very important that we all have our stories out there, especially in times like right now when people doesn't really know us, and there's a lot of great stories out there that we need to let the world know about us, let the world know who we really are and how hardworking we are as individuals and everything. So I think writing a book has been an amazing journey for me, and I definitely recommend it to everyone. If you've been thinking about it, just do it, because it's very rewarding experience to have your own book.
Yes. Great. And so now let's go into the legacy question. This is a legacy question. Beyond selling books,
Mhm.
what legacy, qué legado estás construyendo? What legacy are you building? And what do you hope other Latinas will say about you in 20 years?
Oh my gosh, that's so very beautiful, Marty. um, so I think honestly, I'm the first woman in my family to be able to go to university, and probably the first woman in many generations. I mean, many other generations before me that did not have this opportunity of being educated or doing a master's degree. So at some point, I realized I have four little nieces. There's all women. The last four of my nieces are all women. So I wanted for them to see what is possible, to see that we can go to university, we can even go get our master's degree, that you definitely can make six figures, you know, and that you can definitely aspire to greater things. I wanted to show them what's possible. I think that's what motivates me, the little girls, and I also have another three nephews. So I'm always like wanting to give them a good role model. But most important in this country and for other Latino women, to show them what is possible when you have, you know, discipline to go through for your dreams, and to show them that it is possible to go to school in this country and to get a good job and to learn English. I want to be a role model for all these Latino women to come to this country looking for a better future.
Mm, that's amazing. That's beautiful. That and so what would the so think about this.
Mhm,
20 years from now,
mhm,
you have been here, you've done your thing and all of this, and now there's two Latinas over there talking about you. And what would they say? And let me give you an example. For me, what I want them to be saying at when I'm, you know, dead and gone, as the song says. I want my epitaph on my headstone to read, "Thank you, Marti, Coach Marti, Professor Marti, whatever it is. Because of you, I didn't quit."
Mm-hmm.
So I want them to say that because of me, they didn't quit. So that I want to be this encourager, this empowerer, this person. That's my legacy, to leave a legacy of Latina leaders behind that later on. I know that they're going to be a servant leader like I am. I struggle every day. I strive every day to be that servant leader. So ese es mi legado, ¿verdad? So, para ti, for you, what is your legacy?
Mm-hmm. Wow, I think I really haven't think about this much, but thank you for the question because it makes me like wonder. And I would love to say that if in 20 years some two ladies were talking about me, I would like them to say she is a great real role model. She overcomes so many things, not only a disability and having to learn English, having a disability and a hearing disability, and going to school with no means because it wasn't like pay for me to go to school. I mean, my parents didn't go to university, so and I want them to see that it is possible to achieve all the things I've done um, by yourself with determination, with perseverance, and just with a firm belief in myself. Like I want them to see that it is possible to achieve everything you set your mind to. And I hope they say that I had 20 very good books out there that they could always read, all bestsellers.
Okay. All right. So then that's amazing. So that tells me that you're going to continue writing, and yeah, and then continue your writing, continue your career. And now let me ask you a personal question. You just got married. Are you a person that would love to have a small family or a large family?
I think because the reason why I've been able to all those things is because I was single most of the time, and then I was like, I never thought I would have children, but since I just got married, that might change. So I don't know what is in destiny for me, but there's definitely more books. There's definitely more being out there, trying new things and experiencing life because I've been so excited. And I've just realized, I realized this a few months ago. Everything I set my mind into doing, I do it. And all these years, I've done all those things devoted me. I have had this imposter syndrome, and I've done all those things. So now I've just realized, Crystal, what if you do believe in yourself a little bit more and realize things are gonna come your way? Things are gonna be perfect for you. So I'm like, wow, now I feel like I need to dream even bigger. So I'm having those discoveries lately that I am so excited to see what's in store for me. Like right now, together with Eric Alfaro, we are going to start doing speaking engagements. So we are planning this exciting conference for women for March 14, and we would love to see you all there because it's a very important day to remember all these women that not so long ago we did not have many rights. Not so long ago we could not open a bank account, and that's why it's now this important day, March 8th, International Women's Day, to commemorate all women and all the achievements we can do nowadays. So we are hosting this amazing women's conference on March 14th. So it's going to be an exciting day. So that will be the starter of my career as a speaker. So that's what I'm doing next.
Very, very nice. Thank you so much. Cristal, it has been an amazing journey that you have started. And I look forward to having you on the podcast again with more things under your belt. And I am so incredibly grateful for you and for each and every one of my listeners. Thank you, Cristal, so much. Now, you are also on Instagram and you are on LinkedIn, I believe. Yes. And so, for those of you that are listening, she has given us a little gift. So you will find it in the show notes, and you will find it as soon as I drop everything here in the description below. If you're still watching us on the Coach Marti Angel YouTube channel, remember to subscribe and hit that bell so you never ever miss an episode. And make sure to show her some love and make sure to share out. If you got anything out of this, make sure to share it out. Let's keep this going. Let's empower each other and collaborate, because juntas podemos más, meaning that together we can achieve more. There is more to be achieved in unity than there is to be achieved by dividing ourselves. So thank you so much, everybody, for listening. If you are listening to me wherever you listen to your favorite shows, my guest here, Cristal, thank you so much. And make sure you hit look in the show notes so that you can also have that free gift that she is getting. Cristal, it has been amazing. Gracias por estar aquí, madre. Eres hermosa, eres hermosa. Es todo lo que, de adentro para afuera y de afuera para adentro. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Marti. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you today, and I look forward to collaborate with you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.